everyone. I'm Suara, and I'm here today with Kurt G. Kurt is a medium, channel, and intuitive, and we're here to have conversations with Kurt and find out more about what's going on deeper levels. Hi, Kurt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So glad to have you here today. And today, there's a lot of things, changes going on, and considering where we are now in our spiritual path, not just what's happening out in the outer world, but our collective spiritual path. I wanted to talk about a little bit on where do you feel we are in our human kind of consciousness evolution as spiritual beings, as souls, having this momentary human experience. What do your guides tell you about our place in time right now?
We hear that like the end times or it's getting near that kind of stuff, and that's not all negative because there's a lot of um, brightness, the energy, the our soul's um, energy, the um, the light is just really turning on right now, getting brighter and brighter. And
Beautiful,
it's kind of like exponentially right now.
beautiful.
Um, so, the once it reaches a certain level, we get to I don't know if move on is the best verbiage or level up, or it's a very positive, great thing. Um, and those words don't even compare to how great it is.
Oh, that makes
And
me so happy to hear
and
that.
that is so the end times or whatever that people talk about, that sounds so, destruction and bad and all that. Right now we're at that point where the light is so bright, and it's getting close to moving on to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So um, there is a lot to rejoice in about
Yeah.
what's coming about that, the brightness of everything.
Yeah, when you say that, it actually lifts my heart quite a bit. Like, I'm really excited and happy that you said that. And I know a lot of people out there have been talking about that, like focus on the light, bring in light. Is this exponential increase of light something that we have as a collective? Have we created that? Does it come from another place beyond that we don't necessarily see? Where is that coming from?
It comes from both. It does come from beyond. It comes from within. We take it and we nurture it, and it grows within us. It's a choice that we have, that we can do that.
Yeah,
And as it grows, it gets brighter, and as more decide to grow that energy, it gets brighter and brighter. And at this stage in the evolution of the earth and humankind, there's a lot more calling for that, understanding for that on a soul level. We don't necessarily notice it as human beings. I think as we get older, we start noticing it more. Around 50, 60 years old, we start noticing and having that energy, and start uh, and it may not be a conscious thought that we actually do, but it subconsciously is happening for the people that have chosen that direction. Um, so that's why it's also so exciting, if you will, about if you could rise above the earth and view down on it with eyes that could see this light, you would see how much is there. It's like the whole planet is glowing with the light. Whereas if you go back 100 years, it wouldn't be as bright and glowing. So just and that has to do with the time of this place and the evolution of the energy.
yeah, beautiful. I love that. Because for a show like this, I know it's going to attract in a lot of light bearers, people who consider themselves, believers in the light, holders of the light. And as we're all told to focus in on the light and bring light in the world, it's not that we necessarily see it. How do we know? Are we making a difference? And we could move into doubt, or we could move into other types of energy. But to hear that from you, it's very affirming, like, yes, we're holding the light. It is real. It's making a difference. We're surrounding the world with light, and that's really happening. So that's beautiful. And in the context of, and it sounds like in the context of where we are as a group evolution and what you were saying about end times, that this is the right time for that. So we're making it. We just made it, and so that's also really good news. Um, and so you said that it's a choice, that we make, and so on a human level, as we make these choices, what's happening to us on a soul level when we're facing these choices. um, and is it just a conscious thought to think, oh, I'm going to think positively right now about the situation? Like, what's happening there? As because we're kind of stuck in our limited perspective as humans most of our day, as we're running around doing our errands and our jobs. What does it take to bring in the light?
It helps to have the conscious thought of it, for sure. But it is also, there is another part of it, and it's the soul part. And some of it's automatic, that happens, but it's automatic in a fashion that, from a human perspective, what we see, we can't really make it happen and think, okay, this is going to happen like this. But our soul knows how to make it happen. So it's on a different energy level, basically, that the soul can work with ourselves in this body to nurture that light as well. And it's not necessarily something that we can consciously have thought over to make happen on that level. But as beings, human beings here, in this conscious level, it does help to consider and think of the light and positivity, and our actions towards one another and all living things. So that conscious, thought process, and we all know what, right from wrong, uh, regardless of what people may say. Well, we all know it because we're it's instilled in us. We choose what we want. So just by making that choice of, bringing in the light and spreading that light and wanting to be a part of that is really what most most of us need to consider and think about. Well, like I say, so it's kind of a two-part thing. The second part, most people aren't going to know how to utilize, and that's where the soul level comes in for that light and that energy to where it needs to go, and how it manifests and grows there. And that's kind of, it's difficult to explain that. So I think that, probably the farthest I'm going to go there. So just holding in our hearts,
Yeah.
the light and the care and concern for every other living being here is the most that we really can do.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like in our humanness to have that intention, to have that, yeah, that thought, that intention in our heart space, for ourselves, for others, is where we can go in our soul. We're partnering with our own soul to get the job done. Our soul seems to know what needs to be done, where the light goes, how to bring in the light. Um, so that's great. And
Yes, you always make better sense of it when you explain it after I say something, it seems like.
well, what I'm
Um,
trying to do is explain it for myself so that I can understand. Yeah.
and yes, and like I said, you do a great job of it, because the information for me is kind of bounces around a little bit, and then I try to decipher it, and then I give it to you, and you always do a great job of deciphering it better. So, if you go back hundreds of years, and why wasn't there, was there lots of light then? Why was the planet dimmer then? Um, how many people talked about the light and energy back then, um, and the knowledge about it back then? There was some, but they're not like there is today. So, if people have that question, well, how come now? Because we've evolved to think about it more and be aware of it more, and that's just where we're at this point in time. And that's why, thousands of years ago, it wasn't. It was just so different as far as the mental thinking. So were souls different back then? Not necessarily. It just takes, in this on this plane of time, it takes these experiences that life offers to nurture that light and to get the thinking towards that today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love hearing that. I love the guidance there to focus on the light. But, sometimes life is really hard and there's some hard things that come up, and that's the reality of it. And sometimes it feels like we're just trying to sugarcoat something by saying, well, I'm going to focus in on the light. What do we do? What's the guidance there? What do the guides have to say about those kinds of realities that we might face that are actually very harsh, really hard?
Life is not meant to be easy.
Mm,
Uh, it's not meant, or I should say, it's not meant to be easy for everyone. Some, it's more, you'd like to think that it's, say, more difficult for some than others, but um, it really feels like, there's every soul and person is so unique that um, what happening may be devastating to one is means very little to the other. And that's something that's, you know, really hard to grasp. So if you take, um, you can take just something simple by, oh, I accidentally stepped on that snail and squished it and killed it. And for most people, like, you move on. Well, for that person, that's devastating enough to them that it feels like they lost a loved one.
mm,
Now, how does that make sense to anyone? Because it was just a snail.
mm,
So when you take people and you say, oh, well, this person's had it so rough, they had all these things happen, and you haven't had much of anything happen to you, um, you've really lost sight because both souls have experienced the same grief on the same level. It just didn't take as much of an incident or as much as one would think should cause that for the other.
mm.
So, it's hard to in life get away from the judging things of others and happenings of others, but the end result is still coming around the same way. And these events in life um, mold our being to become what we're supposed to be. So we take on these experiences to encourage the best benefit out of that
Mm.
for the soul energy.
Yeah. So I I love that there seems to be a purpose to it. There's a direction that it's heading. And you mentioned for our souls to become, for, who we are, to become who we're meant to be. Um, can you tell us more about that? What is that?
Yes. So this is a journey, and this life for everyone ends the same, and it ends the same as this life coming to an end, and then we start anew with something different.
Mm,
And for some, if you believe in reincarnation, then that's being reincarnated as another human. For others, perhaps they don't have to or don't have they're done with that journey here. So they move on to the next step.
yeah.
Um, and the best way to describe it is level up, next level up. Now, that doesn't mean that, oh, well, just because I'm being reincarnated as another human again, have I leveled up or am I staying? No, you level up each time. Each is the best way to look at it. That's not necessarily, that's just the best way for our human brains to understand it.
Yeah.
It's not, so that's how, I don't know what else to say. I get more deeper information, but that's just the easiest way to understand it. So we grow up, we're born, and everything's happy. Yay, we celebrate, the new baby, and it's great. And we live and we die, and everybody cries, and there's no celebration. It's a terrible event.
Yeah.
Um, it's not it's not like that. It's not a terrible event.
Yeah.
It is in our own minds because that's what we were taught to believe and see, and we can't see any further than that, and that's it. That's all there is, and it's over. And that's sad for us that's left here, but that's not truth. So, but it's still hard. But that is the reality. We live, we experience good times, we experience horrific things, and eventually we all die. And we still have to pay our taxes.
Yeah. Yes. Death and taxes, right? Two things you can't avoid. So, it sounds like we come here to evolve, to grow, to make these choices.
It
And
is. And in death, that's really like a rebirth, is what that is.
yeah,
But we don't view it as that.
yeah,
But it is. It's graduating from this and being reborn into the next. So if you look at it that way, it's pretty exciting, and it's more joyous for that than it is for a baby to be born, because it's like, great, now they got the rest of their life to figure this out. Till they get to the end, then it's woohoo.
yeah. We should change that up. We should have that celebration in the end as well. Woohoo, you're going on to the next thing. You get to up level and graduate. That's awesome. Um, And so it's funny because it makes me think about, what other paradigms do we have that are actually kind of limited from the human perspective only, and we put ourselves in states of sadness or something, and maybe we don't need to. And wouldn't it be great if we liberated ourselves from these limited paradigms and limited thoughts like that? So it'd be interesting to
it,
kind of just look at that.
it would be nice, but the thing is we need to learn.
Yeah,
And once we've learned it, then yeah, we don't need to go through that and learn it again. We're done with that.
yeah,
So um, if life was to make life easy, we'd have to take out all the learning.
yeah,
Okay, we don't want to learn how hard it is. We want everything easy. We've done it all before. We know it all already, and life's fun. It's easy because we don't have to think and worry about or figure out.
yeah,
But we don't grow. So it is important that, and you know, we're all told that God won't put on us any more than what we can handle.
yeah,
There's some truth to that, or we don't allow any more than what we don't ask for any more than what we think we can handle, type thing as well. So we find that we'll go through times of real trying times of grief and so forth, and we're knocked down, and we get down to a level, and it kind of stops, and then we'll climb out of that, and we got a brief moment of we catch our breath before we have another trial that comes.
yeah,
And you'll see in people's lives, some people's lives have a lot of trials, one after another, one after another. And that's for that soul, that's for that being. That's what that being wanted,
yeah,
to get to the level, fast track levels where they're headed. And other people, it seems like everything falls in place for them. They have to work at anything that, and that's what they need at this time. And that's why it's so individual, and we need to look at ourselves and pay attention to ourselves at all times and nurture what we have inside of us. And it comes down to what we're here for, and that light, and growing that light, and spreading that.
yeah, yeah. I think about it like when we're in the soul and in the soul level, we're not incarnated. We're part of that unified mind, that unified consciousness, that field where we are connected to God, we're connected to each other in oneness. So why in that state would we come and incarnate here as humans where we're separate, we don't remember, it's difficult, there's difficulties. And the way I understand it is sometimes people call Earth like Earth School. This is the Earth School. This is where you come to learn. But I also heard it called, and I like this a little bit better, that it's actually Earth Gym. That when you're up there and you're in your soul, yes, you're connected, but you can't grow. And so if you want to grow, you have to come down to the earth plane, incarnate, experience that separation, and build the muscle, build the muscle through the hardship, or build the muscle just by making choices over and over. It's like doing reps over and over. And that through that, we can grow. And then we take that growth back with us to that soul level. And that's where here is where we can grow and make change. So like being a bodybuilder and building up those muscles, we can create that change here. in your perception, in your connection with your guides and the information you have. Is that pretty accurate, that kind of representation?
That is a good representation of that. Um, and that is the information I get. And the way my mind works, it doesn't necessarily make sense to me, because if you're already a part of everything, and then why don't you have that knowledge? Why do you have to actually experience it?
Yeah.
Um, I don't have the answers for that. Just that is the way that it works, is what I get told.
Yeah.
So, and with my mind here, that's all that I can get from my comprehension. So,
Yeah.
but that is the best way to describe it. And there is also some aspect too of the dynamics of how things are made, this universe and everything, and putting that together, and then having the excitement of going out there and being able to be a part of it.
Mm, mm,
So let's break that down a little further. We play video games, right?
yeah.
It's a it's a world that somebody made.
Yeah.
Some of us make that world, and then others see it and go, "That might be fun to try," and they go and they try it, and they play and they battle and they level up, and there's so many parallels to that.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at it as a simple analogy, that's the best way to look at it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Um,
it's fun to create. There's beings that create, and then there's other beings that do their job, and they let go, hey, you know what, that might be fun to be part of. Now, why would you think that? Let's come down here and fight each other and then we die. That's fun.
yeah.
There is aspects of life that is fun.
Yeah.
That's just the rules of this place here.
Yeah.
And we chose to come and abide by those rules and play this game by those rules. It's not necessarily all a game though. It's a serious game. It's a life and death game, even on the scale, the soul level. So it's all nurturing the light and bringing the light and building for more, for the goodness of the light.
Yeah. Um, so you just said it's a life and death game. What does that mean?
Well, in games, it's all games, a lot of video games and stuff. It is a life and death struggle on the video game. Um, and when we look at our lives and we build these games, well, our life is a game of, it's not a game because it's real, but it is a game of life and death. And for the time being, that's uh, that's I can't put all this into words. So,
Mm.
so even in the light realm, the heavenly realm, there is uh, life and death. So it is it is serious here, but not as it is. It seems like let's see, when you're playing a video game, it's serious because you're amped up, but when your character dies, you're still here.
Mhm.
In life, we're playing this game of life, and it is serious, but we die, and our soul is still there. The I'm going to say that the same thing can happen on the next level as well, the soul level. So um, that's why it is serious, and this life is serious, and it is serious about nurturing the light and being and going that path.
Yeah. So if you had some recommendations for people um, to help them maneuver through that game, what would you say to folks?
It comes down to the same thing that we always end up with, and you know, I'll just say love and light. It is loving one another and sharing the the life experience with uh, helping, compassion, and that's really where we need to focus and be. It is being open and listening uh, to our spirituality, the guides, the angels, to the light. Being open and listening, learning how to do that, and being genuine and kind to one another and all living beings. And even though is it's kind of interesting because as time goes on, even though light gets brighter, it's actually like it becomes more difficult for the light to get brighter just because of the happenings on the earth.
Mm.
Um, there's so many more people, so much more involvement. Whereas you go back thousands of years, they didn't have TV, they didn't have radios, they didn't have that. It was more of a one-on-one experience or just the way it worked. Now the dynamics, you can be involved in everybody's business by watching the news or whatever. So
Mm.
that's why I say the light is getting brighter, but it is more difficult to keep it going brighter, it
Yeah.
seems like, in that aspect.
Yeah. And from what I understand, there's even more levels of brighter white light still available to us that we haven't even tapped in, like bright.
There is, and I can't even fathom that. You think of the light, you look at, the light from the sun, and it's a different light than that, but that's pretty bright. If we look at it long enough, it'll blind us, but the light itself, the light from the source is so that that it would disintegrate most beings. And I don't know how you can even comprehend that because it's not light like the sun. It's not like heat that burns you. It's not like that. It's just so brilliantly light that you can't stand in it. You can't be in it. Um, so that is an interesting thing. It's an interesting concept to think about. And that's not really for us to think about and worry about.
Yeah.
We are striving to add to that light um, because there is no other way.
So our beliefs and our thought systems have brought us to this point. Like you said, we've evolved now to this point where we've brought this level of light, and it's getting harder even to push that level of light to a higher vibration. So all of our paradigms and our thoughts that we carry with us, that we believe in, the systems that we believe in, have helped us to bring us to this level of light. And I think that, there's that saying like, what it took you to get here isn't what's gonna, take you there type of thing. Are these structures, these paradigms that we have, do they need to change, be destroyed, transformed to something new to help support us, our thinking, our evolution, our consciousness to move into that next level of light?
No, that's perfect. The problem is what we do, what we choose,
Mm.
our confusion.
Mm.
You know,
Are we creating confusion you know, with having
yeah,
these different schools of thought?
yeah, we do create our own problems. Yeah, and that's part of the process of working it out, process of learning, the process of negativity, of difficulty. Um, there's not a problem with the source and the design.
Mm.
The problem comes with us. Let's see. But yeah, it's the
You said that.
misunderstanding us, the way we, our perceptions,
Yeah.
and us as human beings, of beings, we're and our souls are at a level that we need to figure this out,
Yeah.
and we're here to figure that out. We're here to um, go through this school or through this to mold us
Yeah.
to the light beings we need, that we want to evolve to.
Yeah. Is that the point that we're at right now?
Well, it is, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of either, even though it may not be conscious recognition of that, there is a lot of recognition of that, just because if you listen to how people talk,
Yeah.
eh, yeah, the spirituality of things and so forth. Mhm.
Yeah. And as we figure things out, you said like we're confusing ourselves sometimes with our different schools of thought. As we figure things out, will we figure these things out? Will we get past what is illusion and break through to really finding what is the light, what we're here to do, how to step into being those light beings that we truly are?
Yeah, we will. We are not all,
Yeah.
but yeah, that is what is happening.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
when that happens, you said not all. Is there going to be a kind of separation? Is like what happens to folks who don't evolve into that?
So there's lots of I'd like to say the words that come. There's lots of chances,
Hmm.
but that's not necessarily the best way to describe it,
Yeah.
because it's when you go to school, you go to first grade, second grade, and are those chances? No, that's just growing and moving forward. That's learning, and it's and growing, maturing, and so forth. So the soul does the same thing. Um, we can stop our training at any time and just be as smart as a first grader. Say, I ain't going to school anymore, I'm done. And
Yeah.
then that's all the smarter you'll pick up things along the way, but you're not taught the rest of that stuff because that was a choice that you made. So the soul is the same way, and coming here is the same thing. So the soul grows. Uh, so then when we pass away and we review where we're at, our soul decides, hey, you know what? I want more. I want to do more. So I want to reincarnate again. I want these steps so that I can grow and move here. For those souls that decide a different path that is not of the light, then they have free will as well, free choice. But there is a reckoning eventually that even they will have to um, realize, or so what's the word that I want?
And will that reckoning happening while incarnated or somewhere else?
Uh, the reckoning happens somewhere else. Mhm. Yeah, the final, but it's not going to be, there won't be any surprise.
Mm.
Okay, life hits us on earth as people as a surprise sometimes, but on the soul level of the choices that are made and the direction that the soul chooses to go
Mm.
is no surprise.
Mm.
They we believe believe and know, just like we know, like we think right now,
Yeah.
but on a different level. um, there's always consequences, always,
Yeah.
in all aspects. In the light and in the knowing of the light, it's different because it's all the same, it's all collective, it's all correct. It takes away that other part uh, will come to an end,
Mm. Mm.
eventually come to an end. And the other part is the negativity,
Yeah. Yeah.
darkness, if you will, whatever that might be, because we're all striving to be, you know, the positive, the light, the best.
Yeah. So there's real good news in that, that the negativity will come to an end and that where we are really striving for the light. Maybe not everybody, but like most of us are all striving for the light. And so, you know, having that positive message. Is there anything else you want our audience to know today about that, about moving towards the light?
It can be turned around.
Yeah,
You can view things in a way that is incorrect. You know that it's incorrect, but you can twist it around to where, oh no, that's the light. Um, that's just the way it works, and we have that free will to do that.
yeah,
But I'm the information that I get is as human beings, we choose, our souls choose, we have that freedom, and our souls know what they're choosing, and so does our human beings. We know what we're choosing.
yeah,
So whether we're choosing, and I don't want to say, I don't want to talk about the right path and the wrong path. I want to say we're making choices that lead lead two separate ways. And there's one, let's see, okay, one path leads to death and destruction, the other path leads to forever and light.
mm, powerful.
Yeah, that is the distinction that needs to be made and come across and not sugarcoated.
Mm.
I
Oof,
was trying to sugarcoat things, but
that's
that's what needed to be said.
yeah, powerful, very powerful. Well, Kurt, it's wonderful to have these conversations with you, especially to bring forward such a deep and profound truth and really look at it and know this truth, to look at it and say, this is what's in front of us and we get to choose and we get to choose into the light. And that's pretty serious.
It is very serious. Yeah, it is definitely very serious.
Yeah.
As being able to be reincarnated and live this life is a lot like a video game, because uh, you can have another life to get it figured out. Um, once, so yeah, there's lots of choices, but
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, thank you, Kurt, for having this conversation with us today. I want to let the profundity of what you just said just hang in the air and sit with us as we go through our days and we are faced with these choices. And we know that choosing the light, choosing kindness, choosing, peace and love for all beings, is where we get to choose, where we get to use our free will, and that will bring in the light. And hopefully, we're all on that path towards the light, towards forever. And this is a great reminder of that. So, thank you so much for being here today, Kurt, and sharing these very deep thoughts and insights to the spiritual paths that we are all on. And I hope that everyone in the audience that you enjoyed this conversation. And if you'd like to hear another one of these conversations, we will meet back again here on YouTube. And I hope to see you there. Okay, bye everyone.
thanks,
Thank,
bye.
thank you, Kurt. See another inspiring interview with Kurt, or discover more at akashicrecords.com. Unlock your true potential today.